Hit it, hit it.
In this video, I'm going to teach you how to make the yo-yo scarf. The yo-yo scarf is this super cute, very trendy scarf that is a free pattern available over at redheart.com. It uses a wonderful yarn that has nice color changes working through the yarn. Depending on which colorway you choose, you can either have a very dramatic look like this sunrise colorway, or a very subtle, reserved, gradual look like these two colorways right here. As I said, this is a free pattern. I'm going to show you how to make the medallions, how to join them, and how to take a look at the chart schematic and figure out where the placement of the medallions go. Why don't you take a look down here? I'm going to tell you about all the materials you need. Okay, I'm going to move this scarf out of the way really quickly. First off, you're going to need one skein of Red Heart Unforgettable yarn. Red Heart Unforgettable yarn comes in many different colorways, and as I mentioned, you can either go with a colorway that changes actual colors throughout, or one that has more gradual color changes of one shade of color. It's a lot of fun, so the choices are really just endless. They're just wonderful. Along with the yarn, I'm going to scooch that out of the way, you're going to need a US G or 4mm crochet hook. You're also going to need a tapestry needle. And for myself, for this video, I'm going to throw in 3 little stitch markers. Last but not least, you're going to need some scissors, that way you can cut your tails. All right, so let's go ahead, get your material, grab your pattern over at redheart.com, join me back here, and we're going to get started. To begin this scarf, you need to start with an adjustable ring. For an adjustable ring, you're going to take your working yarn and you're going to wrap it around your forefinger and your middle finger. Going down, as you come back up towards the forefinger, you're going to take the yarn and cross over to the back of the yarn that was laying on there the first time. Does that make sense? You see that little crossover right there? If you take your hook, go underneath the yarn right there and go back and grab that one and pull up like you're getting ready to do a slip knot. Although what I want you to do is I want you to take your fingers out, and where that cross is, I want you to pinch it so it doesn't really go anywhere, okay? I like to put my fingers sort of back into that hole right there to kind of keep it a little bit open for myself as I adjust and grab my yarn. So what I've done is I've pulled a loop through, and I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to chain 2. So there's chain 1, chain 2. Now, working around my tail and the loop, so it's this little crossover, I'm going to begin to do 12 double crochets. So just for word to the wise, these first 2 chains do not count as a stitch. So I'm going to yarn over my hook, go into this big gap right there, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, draw through 2, yarn over, draw through 2, just like a normal double crochet. And I'm going to do that 12 times. So there's 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Now if I set this down, you're going to see that it does not look like a circle even a little bit, but here's the cool part about an adjustable loop. If I grab this tail and hang on to my stitches that I just created and pull the tail, it actually pulls that join closed right there. You see that? It's virtually invisible. So I take my hook, I'm going to put it back in that loop. I'm going to come over here and I'm going to join with a slip stitch into the top of the very first double crochet I created. The reason I'm doing it to the very first double crochet I created is because those first chain 2s, they are not counting as a stitch according to the pattern. Once I've done that, I've joined with a slip stitch. I'm going to yarn over and pull through 1 so that I can finish off. So when I finish off, I always leave 4 to 6 inches for a tail because it's just easier to weave in tails that way. And I pull this and give it a tug. Now, my first reaction when I made this scarf was, oh my gosh, each of these loops are going to have 2 tails. That's going to get really overwhelming, right? Really fast. Don't worry, it's really not so bad if you do what I'm going to suggest right now. Take your tapestry needle and right at this moment, tuck in the center tail. So it's the one that you use for the adjustable loop. So I've threaded the tail onto my tapestry needle, and I'm just going to take my tapestry needle and stick it right through the stitches that I created into that adjustable loop. So I'm pulling it through, and then I'm just going to come back the other direction because I just want this to be secure. I don't want it to come undone, okay? So I went one way and I came back the other way. Pulled it. I'm going to give that a snip. So there, that's one, okay? I'm going to leave this one free, and I'm going to show you why here in just a second. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take my little stitch marker, and I'm going to, from this mark, I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, and I'm going to mark the third one. So it's the third stitch from where I finished off. The reason I'm doing that is on the next round, we are going to join the next little circle, the next yo-yo, to that marked spot. So now that that marked spot is there, I can weave in this end at this time. If you do it in this manner, it's a great way to not only make sure you're in the correct spot each time you join your yo-yos every time, but you are also not going to be stuck with a scarf at the very end of your project that has all of these little ends hanging off of it, and you're really tempted to call it fringe because you don't want to weave in your ends. You just want to weave them in right now, get it done with, and move on. If you make it a ritual, it's really not that big of a deal, okay? So I went ahead, I wove in the second one, which I did after I marked my stitch, and I want to make sure I do it after I mark my stitch again because I know that that's where I'm going to join my next medallion, my next yo-yo. So I'm going to set that there. We're going to make another yo-yo, but this time we are going to make the yo-yo and we're going to join it at the same time. So I began with my adjustable ring as well. So I have my yarn right there. I wrap it around my forefinger and my middle finger, and as I come back up to my forefinger, I cross over. I go ahead, I stick my hook underneath the yarn and grab the one towards the back and pull up a loop. As I readjust, I'm going to pinch the crossover right there. And I'm going to begin with a chain 2. So chain 1, chain 2. Now I'm going to do 9 double crochets in the ring, okay? So I want to do 9. So I'm going to do 1, 2, 3. Now let's pause for a second. We already know that this third one's going to be where we're going to join stitches, right? So let's go ahead and take our marker and mark it right now so we don't have to worry about it later on. So 1, 2, 3, I've marked it. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Now here's where I have to join, okay, you ready? With the wrong sides together, so I'm going to pick up the one I completed. So if this is my right side and this is my right side, I'm going to go to the stitch that I have marked there, stick my hook into it, yarn over, pull up a loop, and pull that right on through the stitch that's on my hook. I'm going to continue on, so I'm going to yarn over, pull my adjustable ring back into play over here, okay, because I'm still using it, and I'm going to finish off with 3 double crochets. Here's a little tip. When you go to do your next 3 double crochets, it's really easy to kind of accidentally make these too big because we're kind of in an odd angle here. Take a minute and make sure that the stitches on your hook, so the loops on your hook, are nice and in line with all the stitches that you've already created to make sure that they're all uniform in shape. So there's 1, 2, 3, and that gives me my 12 double crochets now. I can pull my adjustable ring nice and closed. Give that a nice pull tug, see that? So now my ring is closed. I'm going to come over here and I'm going to join with a slip stitch to the first double I completed. yarn over and pull through one so that I can finish this off. Cut my tail, always leaving 4 to 6 inches, you guys. It just makes things so much easier. When I pull this through, what do I do next? I go ahead and I weave in my tails. Now this time I don't have to pause after I weave in the center one because I've already marked my 3rd stitch right there from this one. Does that make sense? Okay, you've already seen me weave in tails, so I'm going to move that one aside and I'm going to pull this one in because I've already done this. What I've done here, if we look at this one from the beginning, this was my very first circle that I created, and this is the first one I created today. I joined along the row my circle. Each time I finished one, I joined another circle. Okay? When you complete all 20 circles as written in the pattern, you would begin to work the next row. And you'd join the circle not only to this one here, but to this one here. So the first one, we join it to this one. The next one, we're going to join it to this one and to this one. So then we join the next one to this one and this one. Do you see how that goes? So you would work the row 2 all the way along, but you don't add one to the very last circle. So each row, you get 1 circle less. So when we had 20 here, we would go to 19, 18, 17, 16, so on and so forth. So the pattern states that you would do that all the way up until you get to there's only 1 circle. And you would finish it off by joining with a slip stitch into the right side of the long edge. So it would be this diagonal edge right here. You're going to go ahead and join your yarn with a single crochet, and you will single crochet into the edge of all of those circles all the way along. So it'll be a single, and then you would chain 6 and then single and then chain 6 and single. And what that looks like is this. So if we join with a slip stitch right here, or with a single crochet right here, chain 6, single crochet, chain 6, single crochet, chain 6, single crochet. Once you've done that all along the row, that's what gives you this really beautiful triangle edge. Okay, I'm going to hold it up to the face camera so you can see how it looks. Can you see that? It's really super pretty, and you can see here, if I turn this around, so I'm looking at it too, the color changes in the yarn morph into one another along the rows because of the way we join the yo-yos along the way. So you get a really cool color variation just by the way you're joining the circles. So what's great about this is that this one uses the sunrise colorway, which obviously has many different colors in it. And the colorway that I'm using right now is called Bistro. And so it is a subtle gray hued colorway. So if I continued on, this looks like these are kind of darker and then they go on to lighter. And so maybe this goes a little lighter or a little lighter and then it would go darker. And so it would get a really nice gradual and subtle color changes in it. One of the other things you could do to make this scarf your own and make it a good variation is maybe you take one of the other colorways. So like this one, for example, is called Petunia. And maybe you do a row of yo-yos in the Bistro and a row in Petunia, and you alternate the rows that way. So you can make things really fun. Don't feel like you're limited either to only doing 20 circles. You could absolutely make this scarf a little bit bigger and just add more and more yo-yos, as many as you would like to do. As long as you keep the consistency of one less each time, you'll still end up with a beautiful triangle. Join them just like you did, as I explained to you, and you'll be good to go. This is a very, very fun project to make, and I think it would be fun to combine these two right here. Okay, now you know how to make the yo-yo scarf. I know you're going to run out right now and get yourself some yarn. Tell you what's really super easy. If you go to redheart.com, not only will you get the pattern for free, but you can order the yarn and all the supplies you need right there at Red Heart. So it would make it super easy for you, deliver it to your door, and you're ready to go and make this scarf. Please make sure that you do use the stitch markers and weave in your ends as you go along. It will just make things so much easier for you. Just trust me on this one. I know what I'm talking about, okay? I hope you enjoyed today's video. If you want to catch more videos right here on the Marley Bird YouTube channel, I would love that. You can also hit subscribe so that way you are up to date whenever there is a new video released. Until then, I will talk to you guys soon. Enjoy crocheting. Bye-bye.